Good morning. Today is Monday, February 13th, 2023. Welcome back to Live at Urban Wild. Here we are. Came a little bit earlier today. I did a separate video that's on Facebook, just explaining the art of communication a little bit, showing the amazing formation of how the cats come from where they come to join this party, and with the newcomers and with the ones that are already friendly, that are already part of the community. Showing the formation of how everything comes together. Because the rain and the weather, we adjust the food piles according to what's clean and what's wet, and where it's dry and where we can put plates and where we can't. Every day we discover new constituents, as we call them. More often than not, they're kittens that have matured to the point where they're no longer weaning. Or there's that gray cat that has come from wherever it comes from, because as we talk about every day in the videos, none of these cats are quote-unquote native to this park. Nothing lives in this park, especially not in this empty zone that I use to feed the cats. I use the empty zone because we've been banished and criticized, Bokir Tov, from doing things in other places where it interferes with human use or children's use of the park. We're talking all together about this tiny little patch of AstroTurf is what they call the park. All around it is ruins and abandonment and junk. It was hazardous to even come here before, between the activities that were here and the things that were disposed of here, which I don't even want to talk about. It's not a criticism of anyone or any particular thing, just the poor management of resources leads people to have to do things that are considered crime to survive. I'm not saying that anything is okay or justified objectively. Here's another gray cat just shifting off to the side that's a newcomer, unlike the other gray cat. So there's two new gray cats. Talking about our new constituents, every single day we discover new cats. There's this lighter orange cat here that's on the left that's eating. There's that shaggy one that we're guessing is the kitten to a older shaggy one that's similar colors. There's a calico, which is already more regular. And its friend here, of course, Dingo, that's always between my feet. Or most of the time between my feet, the one-eyed cat. This calico is friendly, I think. Going to find out. Usually allows me to pet it. That manger looking just because of its colors, although it's a beautiful cat. That cat is less friendly, so I will not approach it. The other one's there on the wall. This kitten, which is new, relatively new. And all the other cats from all the other directions that come and join the party. I've created one new smorgasbord with a pecking order here that even though there's lots of food, there's a hierarchy, there's a respectful order that goes on here. There's the food I put on the side, which although today I didn't put yet, the cats are waiting and I will. Over there is usually one of the spots because it's a clean and flat space that I can usually put out food, which I will shortly. These are of course the other cats of the wall that have already eaten and some that are waiting for more. Of course there's this cat that we've seen that's had its infected eye. This pile of food right over there. So it's politics mostly when they don't move from one spot to another. Hierarchy, politics. See, like that spot, that cat abandoned that pile of food. Could be because of intimidating it, or the other cats that follow me intimidate it. Of course that's Limpy up there, the one with the damaged front left paw. Something going on behind me which I'm going to go investigate. There's some leftover food here. Leftover food up here. There's a good chance that if I wait here, Limpy will come across and discover the food. Hello, little boy. Hello, baby. Of course, all the other cats that come spontaneously, like this little kitten that's eating in the nook and cranny there. It's an example of a kitten that's matured. There's Stumpy, the one with the amputated tail. There's entire dishes of food here that aren't being eaten. So I'm going to move that food over to the other side where cats are waiting. each one with their own rules and politics and hierarchy. So since there are cats waiting over there, as you can see, the orange kitten that we call Fuzzy was waiting, got its turn. The cat that was eating moved over there. This is one of the spots that I put food, and soon it'll become populated. And there you go, there's Mr. FOMO, who will always come out wherever I put new food. There's the new gray cat, another new gray cat in the distance there. There's a cat behind the tree that has come a few times with a very badly damaged back. Looks like he is surviving, he or she, but moving and is eating and healing, but really bad gashes on its back. Every time I call the city vet, they I don't know where the cat comes from to be able to catch it, be able to take it for treatment, but I might try again today. There's only so many times you can call the volunteers to come out and to show up unsuccessfully. So this plate, which wasn't being eaten before, is now being devoured. We know this cat too. He's more or less familiar. There's food in the buckets, which is glad that kitten got up to have from it. That's water. I'm going to relocate this dish also now, since no one's eating from it. The other posts on the wall, the whole giant plate of food not being touched over there. It's the politics, it's the structure of their community that makes the difference. It's not just where's the food, although it is for some. The one you call FOMO is definitely where's the food kind. So now that I laid out more food, cats redistribute. There's the one that's hurt. It seems to be doing okay enough. We stay roughly an hour every day, communing with nature, meditating, speaking with the Creator, getting fresh air, hopefully getting some vitamin D, although it's a little too early for that right now. Sharing infinite love and gratitude. And I will be continuing off camera so that I can give the cats the other things they need, which is attention. My good old Stumpy over here, as soon as I sit down, he will come to me for attention. As well as many other cats that are just waiting for me to crouch down and give them that attention that they seek so desperately. I'm going to sit down on my bucket, which is what brings me a little closer to their level, and see what happens. If anybody has any questions, of course, I invite anyone to ask, to comment. Here already, the one we call Dingo, Dingola, for reasons that only we know. Our mascot, one of our mascots, comes for attention. This cat also comes for attention, but they have an extremely specific hierarchy of who will come when the other ones come, who will scare off or push off or fight off the other ones for attention, literally. So I have to be careful with that too, because I don't want anyone getting hurt just because they're not strong enough to be in the right place and time to get attention. So for that reason, I'm going to put down the phone so I can make both hands available. Here comes Stumpy, like I said, who's waiting for his attention, but he will often scare off this cat. I need two hands for this. Where are you, Stumpy? There you are. None of the names heaven forbid, are meant to be derogatory or insulting. It's just that it's hard to distinguish between more than 50 cats that are, a lot of them from the same families, that have very, very similar markings. So we have to give these names only so that we can distinguish them for our own purposes and for the purpose of identifying them for our supporters and our followers. This guy, should call him Sneezy, but that's not funny. I don't have what it takes to cure all these cats. We don't want to be indoors. We don't have the space for all these cats. We do have our End Hunger Now campaign that applies to animals, to cats, to dogs, to humans. Not to put anyone in the same category, but if all lives matter, and I believe they do, if we're able to feed everyone, then why don't we? So the campaign is for as little as 2 shekels a day, 60 cents to the US dollar, 50 cents to the euro. You can feed a cat and give it what it needs and a shelter. You have a place rented for this purpose. Boker Tov. We're gathering the support. With that also, at a certain critical mass, it by extension feeds the people taking care of it. So once we get to 50 cats, so 50 cats in a month, that comes out to 3,000 shekels. 2 times 30 times 50 is 3,000, if I'm not mistaken. Anyone want to correct me? That's fine. The 3,000 shekels, yes, that includes renting a place that acts as a shelter, which we're already doing. It includes giving them a warm and dry place, besides food and water and care and attention. It includes feeding them and having someone to attend to their needs when necessary, to call the vet or to do other type of emergency life-saving interactions or interventions. In addition to that, that means providing a shelter for the person that's feeding them, which means supporting a person. It could be someone you specify or someone that we help, that we take off the street or we take that's jobless otherwise. And by extension, it means feeding that person, and that person, through the critical mass and through the success, feeds other people. To what degree and what amount? Well, it depends on how much support there is, the consistency of the support, and what else is going on. But it is a system that we have proven that works. For as little as 2 shekels a day, 50 cents to the euro, 60 cents to the dollar, you can sponsor anyone, a child, a person, a human, a dog, a cat. We will take care for you on your behalf. And we'll send you the coverage, and we'll show you, we'll prove it. This isn't some kind of video that'll be some stock footage of children with flies in their face, and not to belittle that, but with all due respect to the amount of money that's been given and wasted on all those different causes of the political battles of fighting over who's got the best solutions, there's still starving children in the world, which makes no sense with the amount of food and resources we're wasting all that. Boker Tov Tzaddik. So for that reason, we believe that it's a question of proper management, which is why our organization is called People's Committee for Responsible Management International, and is an Israeli branch, only for political reasons. Israeli does not mean that it's Jewish only. We feed anyone and everyone. But Israel has its own level of politics. The rest of the world has its own level of politics. And the United States has its own level of corruption, of fighting for who gets to do more harm to the others, because that's the right for being an American. Anyhow, I don't want to get into that kind of politics, but I'm more than willing to, if anybody wants to, for constructive dialogue. I'm going to get up and just do another sweep and see what's going on. I might need to redistribute some food because this pile is not being touched anymore. That pile is not being touched anymore. And yet there's still a tremendous amount of cats around doing their business. That's not being touched anymore. I did bring more food than usual. And every day I bring a little bit more food, because between the weather and the growing population of cats, both in numbers and in size, because as they're getting better fed, they're growing, the food demand should and does increase. There's also a relatively new cat, if I'm not mistaken, that has something going on with its eyes, if I'm not mistaken. When I say he, I'm sorry about that. I don't want to say it to turn these into objects as opposed to living beings. And when I say he, it is not meant to be any kind of gender specificity. In fact, the word he in Hebrew means she. So when I say he, it can mean he or she. And I just mean the creature that we're focusing on, regardless of its gender, regardless of its species even, or its identity, or how it identifies. Because especially after all the quote-unquote fixing, spaying and neutering and all the other kind of interventions that are done, how can we define who's a what and what's a who, and what anything is? Each one is individual, which is why we try to give them names that are fairly descriptive of who they are, at least in the given moment. Like these two cats, I'm so happy to see this cat's doing better, but it does freak me out to see its damage on its back. At least it has food. That's the best I can do for it right now. There's another cat in a pile. I'm going to redistribute the food like I've said several times. I'm going to be going off camera soon. Just showing there's leftover piles of food. That's really what I'm trying to show, is that there's an abundance. There's an abundance mentality, which is why it's so quiet. Which is why it's so peaceful, why cats can eat and leave food behind. And one-eyed cats that seem like they have no chance to survive. They might even be quote-unquote ugly in some opinions to some people, which is why they're not better taken care of. Our regal Limpy here, who's one of the dearest cats here. Just I'm always afraid he's going to fall off the wall. Leaning towards me. There's more food left in the pile. So yes, we'll be redistributing the food here, showing how there's so many leftovers. Nobody's fighting over the piles. There's kittens coming from other locations, which is what I was showing. These kittens live in that corner there. There's an apartment building there. And I'm just so happy to see the peace and tranquility that is shown in an abundance mentality, and all this leftover extra food, which yes, I will be redistributing soon. Infinite love and gratitude. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Ciao for now.